every F1 pit strategy explained. The real game inside the race. 30 seconds to vanish or appear. There's a moment in every Grand Prix where a car seems to disappear from your TV for about half a minute, and then, magic, it reappears ahead of the rival it was chasing. That's not luck. That's pit strategy doing quiet violence. Today we're decoding every move teams make when rubber meets stopwatch. The undercut, the overcut, double stack choreography, safety car gambles, fuel and battery management that shape tire life, and the invisible math teams run to turn a stop into a slingshot. Stick around to the end because I'll reveal the simple rule that predicts most winning pit calls, one you'll be able to spot live before the commentators do. Why pit stops decide modern F1. Pit stops didn't get less important after refueling ended, they got purer. With the race fuel fixed from lights out, the pit lane is all about tires and track position. Your lap time is basically a treaty between heat and grip, and that treaty expires. Strategy is the art of breaking that treaty at the perfect second. When you see a car pulling away on worn rubber, that's not magic either. That's a team staying just inside the cliff, squeezing the last legal seconds from a compound before swapping it for fresh pace. I like to think of it as renting time. You borrow speed with a stop now, and you pay back the time lost in the pit lane later. If you did the math right, you finish richer. The physics you actually feel on TV. Fresh tires turn on faster, brake shorter, and let drivers abuse throttle earlier. Worn tires drift the other way, adding tenths in slow corners and packing on DG through long arcs. Add in track evolution, rubbering in through the afternoon, and you've got a living surface. That's why strategy is never copy-paste. Two cars on the same lap can be living in different worlds if one sat behind traffic and glazed the fronts, while the other ran free in clean air. The broadcast will say, the undercut is powerful today, but that power exists only when the outlap can beat the inlap by enough to cancel the pit lane tax. If the tires take too long to warm up, the math flips and suddenly staying out, the overcut becomes the ambush. The undercut, fresh pace now, position later. You know the move, pit first, light up newer tires, and bang in a lap, so hot it melts the gap your rival thought was safe. The magic lives in the outlap and the next flying lap. If you nail tire warm-up and clear traffic, the stopwatch becomes your wingman. I love when a team commits early at tracks with strong traction zones out of slow corners. Fresh rubber there is like finding spare horsepower. But the undercut can betray you if the new compound is sleepy coming up to temperature, or if you release into a dirty train. You bought the speed, then immediately got stuck paying interest behind a midfield battle. That's how an undercut dies. The overcut, clean air is a superpower. The overcut is the move you pull when you trust the outlap to be tricky, or you're leading a pace you don't want to surrender. Stay out. Keep the tire alive for one or two laps, and use clean air to hammer a time while your rival tiptoes out of the pits. Monaco makes this tactic famous because passing is fantasy and outlaps are skittish. But it pops up anywhere warm-up punishes you, or where late stint fuel burn makes the car fly. I'm a fan of the overcut when a driver's balance is living its best life. Understeer under control, traction still honest, and you can sense from the radio that the rears aren't cooked. If you've got 2 laps of grip left and your rival's tires need 1 lap to wake up, the overcut is your trapdoor. Offset pace, when different compounds race. Different races. 2 cars can run the same track on different timelines. Hard medium versus medium hard is not trivial. It's a promise about where you want your pace. Some teams front-load performance to break DRS and relax the race. Others backload it to hunt late. I tend to rate backloading higher on tracks with degradation that accelerates. The final 10 laps become a highlight reel. But front-loading earns you clean air sooner, which saves tire life by reducing sliding and keeps brake temps in the green. The best strategies crack both doors. Get out of traffic early, then hold enough grip to defend when the hunters arrive. Safety car and virtual safety car. Free time isn't free. When the safety car arrives, the pit lane discount is huge. At full race speed, a stop might cost half a minute, but under the SC, the field is dawdling, so the penalty shrinks. The catch is temperature, tires go cold, brakes relax, and your outlap is a tightrope. The virtual safety car is a different beast. Everyone slows to a delta, so you get a smaller discount, but you also keep more temperature in the system. Good teams practice these restarts like a drummer learns fills. They know exactly when to punch the heat back into the carcass and when to lean on battery shove without lighting the rears. My favorite moments are the sneaky ones where a team pits under VSC, lands in clean air, and then gets the full safety car a lap later. A lottery ticket you can only buy if you were positioned for it. Double stacking, two cars, one box, zero panic. The choreography looks borderline ridiculous. One car stops, four corners fire, lollipop drops. The instant it leaves, the second car hits the marks and the ballet repeats. Double stacking is lethal when the stop window is narrow. Think late safety car or a sudden shower, and you can service both cars without releasing one into traffic. I love it as a statement of team culture. Nobody flinches. Nobody rushes the gun. If your rear left jack is a half beat late, you just turned a race-winning call into a blooper. When it's clean, though, you convert chaos into free positions because other teams play it safe and split their stops. The pit delta, the invisible price tag, every strategy is built around one number: how long you vanish. The pit lane speed limit, the length of the lane, the angle into the box, the traction zone back onto the pit straight. These define your delta. At tracks with long lanes and awkward entries, an early stop is expensive. At tracks with short lanes, you can be bold. I always watch sector times around the pit entry. If a leading car pushes a purple mini sector into the lane, that's a tell. They're minimizing the vanish tax and going for the jump. Conversely, if a driver soft pedals the entry, they're either faking for the rival or admitting the tires are asleep and the undercut isn't ripe yet. How warm-up and degradation swing the door. Tires aren't just black circles, they're moods. Some compounds light up like they smell a checkered flag. Others need a calm lap before the grip shows up. On a cool day or a green track, warm-up can murder the undercut. On a hot day with a rubbered surface, fresh tires can pay off instantly. Dej adds another layer. If lap times fall off a cliff at the end of a stint, you can steal a heap of pace by pitting one lap early. If the drop-off is linear, staying out doesn't punish you, and if your fuel is low, each lap you delay gets cheaper and faster. That's why you'll hear teams argue on the radio about one more lap. It's a bet on the tire's mood. Traffic, the strategy killer. All the math evaporates the moment you release a car into a slow train. Aerodynamic wake still punishes following, and every extra degree of slide chews rubber and raises brake temps. The best strategists treat traffic like a moving hazard. They don't ask, is the undercut strong? They ask, is the undercut strong for us into that section of cars? When the answer is no, you'll see them extend the stint just to create clean air on rejoin. It feels passive from the couch, but it's ruthless. You're turning someone else's defensive train into your pit window ally. One-stop calm versus two-stop chaos. There are races where one stop is the obvious baseline. The winning move then becomes not raw pace, but how gracefully you move from tire A to tire B without letting the middle laps bleed. Two-stop races flip the vibe. Suddenly the outlap matters as much as the inlap. Suddenly you're budgeting battery like it's cash and spending it where the new tires can convert shove into time. Personally, I love the split. One driver covers the rival with a mirror strategy, the other diverges to attack late. If the field compresses with a safety car, the diver often becomes the hero. Refueling is gone, but fuel still talks. Even without mid-race refueling, fuel mass is a character in every strategy scene. Early laps are heavy, which stresses tires and brakes. Late laps are featherlight, which flatters pace and tempts an overcut. Engineers predict your tire drop curve against that fuel burn. When a team says plan A plus 2, they aren't being cryptic. They're responding to where your deg line crossed the fuel line. If your driver is kinder on fronts than expected, the plan bends toward staying out. If the rears are screaming, they'll drag you in regardless of the calendar lap. The box moment. Human beats computer. I always listen for the moment where the driver overrides the sheets. Software can model traffic and tire curves, but it can't feel a snap in mid-corner or smell a rear that's about to smear. The best calls blend numbers with nerve. Sometimes you hear a calm, box this lap that sounds routine, and a few minutes later you realize it won the race. Other times a driver begs for one more lap, keeps the tire alive with a lap of monk-like smoothness, and falls into a safety car that turns the race on its head. It's why this sport is addictive. The line between genius and regret is one radio click wide. Pit crew ballet, where races are saved in tenths. A perfect stop is silent violence. Jacks up, Wheels off, wheels on, release. No drama, no hero shots. That silence saves you tenths that the strategy model assumed you'd lose. Teams train this like an Olympic relay. Timing and alignment matter as much as raw speed. A single crossed wheel nut or a skittish rear jack costs 3 positions you can't buy back on track. I always smile when a team that's been quiet all year suddenly starts rattling off sub 2 second stops during a title push. That's competitive pressure becoming muscle memory. Rain, heat, and the invisible windows. Weather doesn't just flip tires, it flips psychology. In light rain, you'll see a team gamble on staying out on slicks to bridge to full wets or vice versa. The trick is reading not the weather radar, but the corner exits where traction lives. Heat waves do something similar. Track temps march upward during the day, and suddenly your medium to hard plan is chewing the rear left like a snack. When conditions trend against you, the smartest move is often the least romantic. Pit early, reset the tire misery, and turn the race into a sequence of controllable stints. People say strategy is boring math. Those people have never watched a strategist realize the lapped car they ignored 10 minutes ago is about to cost them a podium. That's the moment you can see a PhD do the same face you make when DoorDash leaves your wings at the wrong apartment. The one rule to predict winners. Here it is. The best pit strategy is the one that changes the driver's environment, not just the tires. If you stop and land in clean air with a tire that wakes quickly, you own the next 2 laps. If you stop and land behind a train with a tire that needs coddling, you just donated your race to someone else. So every time a team signals box, ask 2 questions. What's the tire mood, and what world are they rejoining? Answer those, and you'll see undercuts, overcuts, and double stacks coming before they happen. That's the real game inside the race, and now it's yours to call in real time.